Admiral Veltar stared at the glowing display in front of him. The blue and green planet called Earth spun slowly on the screen. His long, clawed fingers tapped against the metal surface of his command desk. The sound echoed through the quiet. The bridge of his massive ship. "Commander Zixra," he called to his second-in-command. "Tell me what our scouts have found on this world." The female commander walked over, her silver uniform catching the light from the display. She carried a datapad in her hands. "Admiral, our deep space scanners have been watching them for months. These humans are very primitive. They still use metal bullets and explosive bombs to fight each other." Veltar's eyes narrowed. "No energy weapons at all? None that we can detect, sir?" "Their flying machines are slow and clumsy. They burn liquid fuel like ancient creatures. We found no sign of gravity control or faster-than-light travel. Most surprising of all, they seem to fight among themselves constantly." The Admiral nodded slowly. His species, the Zephyrians, had conquered hundreds of worlds across the galaxy. Most planets surrendered quickly when they saw the massive bioships approaching. Few that tried to fight back were easily crushed by superior technology. "What about their space defenses?" Veltar asked. "Practically nothing, Admiral. A few small metal stations orbiting their planet, some primitive satellites. Their most advanced weapons appear to be simple rockets that barely reach their own moon." Far below on Earth, in a hidden bunker deep beneath the city of Seoul, Colonel Li Guan watched the alien fleet on his screens. The underground command center was filled with the quiet hum of computers and the soft beeping of monitoring equipment. Dozens of officers sat at their stations, tracking every movement of the approaching ships. Captain Kim Sun-ho Ji-won called to a young man wearing a blue uniform. "Give me a status report." Kim Sun-ho looked up from his console. "Sir, the alien fleet is now passing Jupiter's orbit. They're still coming straight toward us. Their scanning beams are quite basic. They can't penetrate our stealth systems." "Good," Ji-won replied. "What about our orbital platforms?" "All weapons are in standby mode, sir. The power cores are fully charged and ready. The targeting computers have locked onto every enemy ship." Lieutenant Park Min-gi, a woman with short black hair, turned from her station. "Colonel, should we activate the masking protocols now?" "Aye." Guan smiled, but his eyes remained cold. "The masking systems have been running for 3 days, Lieutenant. The aliens are seeing exactly what we want them to see. On the main screen, the alien ships looked like massive living creatures. Their hulls pulsed with soft light, and strange tentacles extended from their sides. To most people, they would have seemed terrifying. But Ji-won had been preparing for this moment for over 20 years, sir," Kim Sun-ho said. "They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies. It looks like they're trying to communicate with our surface governments." "Let them," Ji-won replied. "Out. Our people know what to do." Back on the Zephyrian command ship, Admiral Veltar watched the communication screens with satisfaction. Radio signals from Earth showed chaos and confusion. Human leaders seemed to be arguing with each other. Military commanders appeared lost and frightened. Civilian populations were broadcasting messages of panic and desperation. Admiral Zixra reported, "Their responses are exactly as we predicted. Complete disorder. No unified command structure. They're begging us for mercy." "Excellent," Veltar said. "How long until we reach their orbital space?" "Approximately 1 hour, sir." "Should we prepare the bioweapons for planetary sterilization?" "Not yet. Let's see if they surrender first. Sometimes it's more useful to have living slaves than dead planets." The Admiral looked at Earth again. Soon this world would be another prize for the Zephyrian Empire. The humans would join the millions of other species that now served his people. Their primitive weapons and divided governments made them perfect targets in the Soul Bunker. Guan watched the alien fleet grow larger on his screens. Each ship was the size of a small city, armed with weapons that could destroy entire continents. But he was not afraid. Humanity had been preparing for this day ever since the first alien signals had been detected 30 years ago. Colonel Park Min-gi said quietly, "Are you sure this will work?" Ji-won looked at her with steady eyes. "Lieutenant, our ancestors fought with swords and shields against enemies with guns. They won by being smarter, not stronger. Today we do the same thing. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Their bioships pulsed with confident energy. Zephyrians believed they were approaching another easy conquest. They had no idea that hundreds of hidden weapons were already tracking their every movement, waiting for the perfect moment to strike in space. The massive orbital platforms drifted silently, disguised as simple space stations. Their true nature was hidden behind layers of false metal and fake signals. Deep inside each platform, enormous weapons waited in darkness, ready to unleash destruction beyond imagination. The trap was set. The hunters had become the hunted. The alien fleet moved into Earth's outer solar system like a pack of hunting beasts. Their bioships glowed with strange lights that pulsed in patterns across their living hulls. The largest ship, Admiral Veltar's command vessel, positioned itself at the front of the formation. Its massive tentacles spread wide, crackling with energy. On the bridge, Admiral Veltar stood before a wall of communication equipment. His tall, insect-like body cast long shadows in the dim light. The time had come to contact the primitive humans below. "Open all channels," he commanded. "I want every radio frequency on that planet to hear this message." The communication officer, a young Zephyrian with 4 arms, worked quickly at his console. "All frequencies active, Admiral. You're broadcasting to the entire planet." Voice boomed across space, traveling at the speed of light toward Earth. "Inhabitants of Earth, this is Admiral Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. You will surrender immediately. Resistance is futile. Your primitive civilization cannot stand against our might. You have 1 hour to respond." The message repeated in dozens of human languages, each word carefully chosen to inspire fear and hopelessness. Deep beneath Seoul, Colonel Li Guan sat in his command chair, watching the alien message appear on his screens. The translation software worked quickly, showing him every word in perfect Korean. Around the world, similar command centers were receiving the same message. "Captain Kim Sun-ho," Giwan said calmly, "connect me to Moscow, Washington, and Beijing. Use the quantum channels." Kim Sun-ho's fingers moved across his keyboard. The quantum communication system was humanity's most advanced technology, completely invisible to alien sensors. Within seconds, secure connections were established with command centers on 3 continents. "All stations, this is Seoul Command," Guan spoke into his headset. "Operation Sleeping Dragon is now active. Begin diplomatic theater protocols immediately." In Moscow, General Petrov acknowledged the order. In Washington, Admiral Chen confirmed a receipt. In Beijing, Commander Wang signaled ready. Across the planet, military leaders prepared to put on the performance of their lives. Lieutenant Park Min-ji Guan continued, "Activate the civilian response protocols. Make sure every broadcast sounds authentic." Park Mingi nodded and began typing commands. Across Earth, pre-recorded messages began flooding the airwaves. To anyone listening, it would sound like complete chaos was breaking out on the planet. On regular radio frequencies, world leaders seemed to be arguing with each other. The American president appeared to be shouting at the Russian premier. Chinese chairmen sounded confused and frightened. European leaders were apparently blaming each other for the crisis. "This is President Johnson," came one broadcast. "We need to surrender immediately. We cannot fight these aliens." "Never," replied another voice, supposedly the Russian premier. "We will fight to the last man. America is full of cowards, you fool," screamed a third voice, claiming to be the Chinese leader. "Your stupidity will get us all killed." Military commanders around the world joined the fake arguments. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for hopeless last stands. A few seemed to be having nervous breakdowns on live television. Civilian populations added to the chaos. Radio stations broadcast panicked reports of people fleeing cities. Television networks showed footage of crowds running in the streets. Social media filled with messages of terror and desperation. But deep underground, the reality was completely different. Every panicked message was carefully written by professional writers. Every argument between world leaders was actually coded information being shared through quantum channels. The fleeing crowds were actors. The desperate civilians were trained intelligence officers. On the alien command ship, Commander Zixara listened to the human communications with growing satisfaction. Her translation equipment picked up hundreds of radio signals from Earth. All of them seemed to confirm what the Zephyrians had expected. "Admiral," she reported, "the human responses are exactly as we predicted. Complete chaos down there. No unified command structure. Their leaders are fighting among themselves instead of organizing a defense." "What about their military?" Veltar asked. "Total confusion, sir. Some commanders want to surrender immediately. Others are talking about hopeless last stands. A few seem to be having mental breakdowns. There's no coordination at all." Veltar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Perfect. These humans are even more primitive than we thought. Begin the final approach. This conquest will be over within the hour." The alien fleet moved closer to Earth, their bioships pulsing. With confidence, they had no idea that every communication they were intercepting was fake. In the Soul Bunker, Lieutenant Park Minji watched the alien ships on her screen. She had to fight to keep from smiling as she coordinated the deception. Every panicked message was actually targeting data being shared between Earth's hidden weapon systems. Every argument between nations was really information about alien ship positions and movement patterns. "Colonel," she whispered to Giwan, "the aliens are buying it completely. They think we're falling apart." Giwan nodded grimly. "Let them think that. The more confident they become, the easier our job will be." The alien fleet continued its approach, completely unaware that they were flying into the most sophisticated trap in human history. The hunters believed they were closing in on helpless prey. Soon they would learn the truth about humanity's real capabilities. The orbital weapons waited in silence, disguised as harmless space stations. Their targeting systems tracked every alien ship with perfect precision. The moment was almost here. The Zephyrian fleet moved through space like a school of glowing fish, their bioships pulsing with soft light. Admiral Veltar stood on his command bridge, watching Earth grow larger on his screens. The blue planet looked peaceful and defenseless, exactly as he had expected. Admiral Commander Zixara called from her station. "Our sensors are picking up some structures in orbit around the planet." Veltar turned to look at her display. Several large objects floated in the darkness around Earth. They looked like simple metal boxes connected by long tubes. Some had spinning sections that rotated slowly. Others had large dish-shaped antennas, pointing in different directions. "What are they?" he asked. "They appear to be primitive space stations, sir. It's probably used for communication and basic research. Nothing to worry about." "The energy readings are very low." Veltar nodded. "Continue the approach. Prepare boarding parties for the larger stations. We might find useful information about human technology." The alien fleet moved closer to Earth, passing through the outer ring of orbital structures. The bioship sensors scanned each station carefully, but found nothing threatening, just simple metal construction, basic power systems, and primitive communication equipment. Deep beneath Seoul, Colonel Li Guan watched the alien fleet enter the zone he had been waiting for. The massive underground command center was filled with quiet tension. Every officer knew that the next few minutes would determine humanity's fate. "Captain Kim Sunho," Guan said in a calm voice. "Status report on all orbital platforms." Kim Sunho looked up from his console, where dozens of green lights blinked steadily. "Sir, all platforms are fully charged and ready. The power cores have been building energy for the past 6 hours. Targeting computers have locked onto every enemy ship." "Excellent," Juan replied. Lieutenant Park Minji, "confirm readiness with all ground stations." Park Minji spoke quickly into her headset, using the quantum communication channels that the aliens could not detect. "Moscow confirms ready, sir." "Washington confirms ready." "Beijing confirms ready." "All lunar bases are standing by for secondary strike." Around the world, similar command centers were making final preparations. In Moscow, General Petrov watched his screens as the alien fleet moved into position. In Washington, Admiral Chen checked his weapon systems one last time. In Beijing, Commander Wang coordinated with the hidden moon bases, the orbital platforms that the aliens had dismissed as simple space stations, were actually the most powerful weapons ever built by humanity. Each one contained a massive tungsten projectile cannon capable of firing metal slugs at incredible speeds. The communication dishes were actually focusing arrays for high-energy laser systems. The spinning sections housed quantum targeting, computers that could track hundreds of targets simultaneously. For 30 years, humanity had been building these weapons in secret. The platforms were disguised to look like peaceful space stations, but inside their metal shells were power systems that could rival small stars. The tungsten projectiles stored in their magazines could punch through any known armor. The laser systems could cut through solid steel like a hot knife through butter. Admiral Veltar watched Earth's orbital structures pass by his ship. Everything looked exactly as his intelligence reports had predicted. The humans were primitive and unprepared for galactic-level warfare. This would be another easy conquest. For the Zephyrian Empire, Admiral called his navigation officer, were now within optimal range of the planet. Not you begin the bombardment. Not yet, Veltar replied. Let's move a little closer. I want to be sure we can hit every major city with maximum effect. The alien fleet continued its approach, moving deeper into the trap that humanity had spent decades preparing. The bioships spread out in a wide formation, their weapons charging for the planned attack on Earth's surface in the sole command. Center Colonel Giwan watched the alien ships move into perfect position. Every platform had multiple targets locked in. The quantum computers had calculated firing solutions for maximum damage. The moment he had trained for his entire career was finally here. Sir Kim Sun-ho said quietly, "All ships are now within the kill zone. We have clean shots on every target." Confirmed. Park Minji added, "All stations report ready to fire. The lunar bases have secondary targets locked in case any ships try to escape." On the alien command ship, something finally went wrong. Commander Zixura was running a final sensor sweep when her instruments suddenly detected massive energy buildups. The readings were so high that she thought her equipment was malfunctioning. "Admiral," she called, her voice rising with concern. "I'm getting strange readings from those orbital structures." "What kind of readings?" Veltar asked. Zixara's eyes widened as she realized the truth. "Sir, these aren't space stations. They're weapons platforms. Massive ones. The energy signatures are off the scale." Admiral Veltar spun around to look at her display. The innocent-looking structures around Earth were suddenly revealed as enormous guns, their power cores glowing with deadly energy. The primitive humans had built the largest weapons he had ever seen. "All ships," he shouted into his communicator. "Evasive maneuvers. Emergency retreat." "We've been in the Soul Bunker." Colonel Jiwan's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "All stations. This is Soul Command. Fire." The trap was sprung. The hunters had become the hunted. The moment Colonel Jiwan gave the order, space around Earth erupted in deadly light. The orbital platforms that had looked like simple space stations suddenly revealed their true nature. Massive cannon barrels extended from hidden compartments, and energy weapons charged with the power of miniature suns. The first tungsten projectile fired from Platform Alpha with a flash that lit up the darkness. The metal slug, no bigger than a telephone pole, had been accelerated to incredible speed by magnetic fields. It struck the nearest Zephyrian bioship in less than a second, punching through the alien vessel like a bullet through an egg. The bioship's organic armor, which had evolved over millions of years to resist energy attacks, was completely useless against the kinetic impact. The tungsten projectile tore through the ship's living hull, destroying vital organs and causing massive internal bleeding. The alien vessel shuddered once and then exploded in a brilliant flash of bioluminescent fluid. Platform 7, direct. Hit on target Tango 4. Captain Kim Sun-ho reported from his station in Seoul. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he watched the destruction on his screens. Platform 12, target destroyed. Platform 15, engaging secondary targets. Around Earth's orbit, dozens of hidden weapons fired simultaneously. The disguised platforms revealed cannon after cannon, each one launching death across the void. The tungsten projectiles moved so fast that they appeared as streaks of light. each one finding its target with perfect accuracy. Admiral Veltar watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn apart. The bioship next to his command vessel simply vanished in a cloud of glowing fragments. Another ship tried to turn away, but a projectile caught it in the side, spinning it like a broken toy before it exploded. "Shields!" he screamed. "Raise all shields!" But the Zephyrian shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid metal moving at 20% the speed of light. The tungsten projectiles punched through the energy barriers like they were made of paper. The energy weapons joined the attack. What the aliens had thought were communication dishes suddenly revealed themselves as massive laser cannons. Beams of concentrated light, powered by hidden solar collectors on the moon's far side, carved through the alien formation like swords of pure energy. One bioship tried to dive toward Earth's surface, hoping to escape the orbital bombardment. A laser beam caught it from below, slicing through its hull from nose to tail.
Ow.
The ship split in half, its two sections tumbling through space as they burned. "Sir," Lieutenant Park Mingy called from her station. "Lunar kinetic platforms are launching." Impact in 47 seconds. From the moon's hidden bases, more projectiles launched toward the battle. These were even larger than the orbital weapons, massive tungsten spears that had been waiting in underground silos for 30 years. They streaked across space like falling stars, each one aimed at a specific target. Admiral Veltar's command ship shook as a projectile grazed its hull. "How is this possible?" he shouted over the alarms. "They were primitive. Our intelligence reports said they had no advanced weapons." Commander Zixera, blood running from a cut on her forehead, looked up from her damaged console. "Our intelligence was exactly what they wanted us to see," she said bitterly.
Ow.
"We've been completely deceived." Another bioship exploded nearby, its death scream echoing through the communication systems. The Zephyrian fleet, which had numbered over 100 ships when it arrived, was being reduced to wreckage in a matter of minutes. "All ships," Veltar screamed into his communicator. "Emergency retreat. Full power to engines. Get us out of here." The surviving alien ships turned away from Earth, their bioengines glowing with desperate energy. But humanity's defensive grid had been designed to prevent exactly this kind of escape. Hidden platforms around the solar system's edge suddenly activated, revealing themselves as the aliens approached. More tungsten projectiles streaked through space, creating walls of accelerated metal that cut off every escape route. The few Zephyrian ships that tried to flee found themselves trapped in a cage of deadly fire. No ship managed to break through the outer perimeter, but a lunar projectile caught it just as it reached the edge of the solar system. The massive tungsten spears struck the ship's engine section, causing a chain reaction that lit up the darkness like a new star. In the Sol Command Center, Colonel Jiwan watched the battle's end with grim satisfaction. The alien fleet had been completely destroyed. Only a few damaged ships remained, drifting helplessly in space with their weapons destroyed and their engines dead. "All platforms, cease fire," he ordered. "Captain Kim Sunho, dispatch recovery teams to secure any survivors. We need prisoners for interrogation." The orbital cannons fell silent, their deadly work complete. The space around Earth was filled with the glowing debris of the alien fleet. Bioships that had seemed so powerful and threatening just minutes before were now nothing but wreckage floating in the void. Sir Part Minji reported, "We're detecting life signs on 3 of the remaining ships. Recovery teams are standing by." Guan nodded. "Good, we need to learn everything we can about these aliens and their empire. This battle is over, but the war might just be beginning." The orbital platforms slowly retracted their weapons, once again disguising themselves as harmless space stations. But the message had been delivered. Earth was not the primitive world the aliens had expected. Humanity had teeth, and they had just shown the galaxy how sharp they could be. 3 damaged Zephyrian ships crawled through deep space, their biohulls scarred and bleeding. The once mighty vessels that had approached Earth with such confidence were now barely functional wrecks. Their engines sputtered, and their weapons were destroyed. Inside the ships, a few surviving crew members worked desperately to keep their vessels alive long enough to reach home. Admiral Veltar sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the empty space where his fleet used to be. Of the 100 ships that had left Zephyr in space, only 3 remained. The humans had destroyed his entire armada in less than an hour. "Commander Zixara," he said quietly, "send a message to High Command. Tell them what happened here." Zixara nodded, her hands shaking as she worked at her damaged console. The message she sent would change everything. Within hours, news of the disaster would spread throughout the Zephyrian Empire. Within days, every alien civilization in the galaxy would know about Earth's true power. The humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They were the most dangerous species anyone had ever encountered. Back on Earth, Colonel Li Juan sat in his underground command center reading reports from around the world. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy, and now they had to deal with the consequences. "Sir," Captain Kim Sun-ho called from his station, "we're receiving multiple communications from space. Different alien species are trying to contact us." Jiwan raised an eyebrow. "Already? How many?" 17 different civilizations so far, sir. The number keeps growing." Lieutenant Park Minji looked up from her translation equipment. "Colonel, these aren't threats or demands. They're requesting diplomatic contact. Some want to discuss trade agreements. Others are asking for military non-aggression pacts." "What else?" Juan asked. Park Minji smiled slightly. "Several civilizations are asking for technological consultations. They want to know how we built our weapons and how we coordinated our deception." Giwan leaned back in his chair. This was exactly what he had hoped would happen. For 30 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. They had built the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. But more importantly, they had shown the universe that humans were not to be underestimated. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The story of Earth's victory became known as the Terran Deception. Alien civilizations that had never heard of humans before suddenly became very interested in this new species. The Kethvari Trade Federation, one of the most powerful commercial organizations in the galaxy, issued an official statement within hours of receiving the news. "Earth's defensive capabilities have been significantly underestimated," their message read. "We recommend all civilizations approach human space with appropriate diplomatic protocols." The Mordian Empire, famous throughout the galaxy for their military strength, added their own assessment. "The Terran tactical doctrine represents a complete change in defensive strategy. Their ability to maintain operational deception while coordinating a system-wide defense grid demonstrates sophisticated command capabilities that we have never seen before." Other alien civilizations began to reconsider their own military strategies. If humans could hide such powerful weapons and coordinate such a complex deception, what other species might be doing the same thing? The galaxy suddenly seemed like a much more dangerous place in the Andromedan Council chambers. Alien leaders gathered to discuss the implications of Earth's victory. "These humans appeared weak and divided," said one representative. "But they destroyed an entire Zephyrian fleet without losing a single ship. How is this possible?" "They made us see what they wanted us to see," replied another. "Oh, we thought. They were fighting among themselves. They were actually coordinating the most sophisticated military operation in galactic history." The debate continued for hours. Some aliens wanted to attack Earth immediately, before the humans could build even more powerful weapons. Others argued for peaceful contact, hoping to learn from humanity's tactical genius. A few suggested that the galaxy should simply leave Earth alone and hope the humans would do the same. Meanwhile, in the Seoul Command Center, Colonel Juan continued to receive reports from around the world. Every hour brought news of more alien civilizations trying to make contact. Some offered trade deals, others proposed military alliances. A few even asked if they could send students to learn from human military academies. "Sir," Kim Sun-ho reported, "we're also getting some interesting intelligence from our deep space monitoring stations. Several alien fleets that were heading toward other star systems have suddenly changed course. They're returning to their home worlds." "They're scared," Park Minji observed. "Word is spreading that humans are not an easy target. Other species are probably wondering if they might be next." Juan nodded. "Good. fear will keep them honest. But we also need to be careful. Some civilizations might decide to attack us before we become too powerful. The colonel stood up and walked to the large display screen, showing Earth and its orbital defenses. The hidden weapons platforms had returned to their disguised forms, once again looking like harmless space stations. But everyone in the galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity had emerged from its isolation not as a primitive species to be conquered, but as a cunning and dangerous new player in galactic politics. The orbital cannons had spoken with the voice of thunder, and the galaxy had listened. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun.